It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior Live. I'll be your host today. Please put in the chat where you're from and who you are. When we start reviewing the news articles, if you want to look at our Facebook page, just click here and you can follow the articles along as we go. See you in a moment. Good morning, everyone. It's Tech for Senior Live, broadcast from all over the place. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, we're actually good friends. That we have four in the studio today. If you're just joining us and you don't know who we are, what's happening, we're a group of seniors who get together each Thursday morning and we talk about tech news, stuff that's happened in the world over the past week that's really technology related. But we sort of started our beginnings at our Monday show, which of course is Tech for Senior, and that is our Monday show, which is a broadcast on Zoom. We zoom out to our YouTube channel, and we've been doing that now for about, what is it, Huey, 117 episodes, I think we've done. We're in season 3 years. So the four of us have so much fun together. We decided we would have coffee together on Thursday morning. So we sit down and have coffee together and we just talk about the news. And that's what we're here today to do. And we're going to talk about, I'm going to introduce the people in the studio today. And then we're going to have a little chat about a few things. And then we are going to go over the news articles. And you can follow those along, as I said earlier, on our Facebook page. So if you, we'll show them up on the screen, but you may find it a little difficult seeing them. We also, of course, take this and we podcast this show out onto our podcast service, onto all the podcast service actually, and it'll be out tomorrow. So we also tape this and our Monday show. This is being, of course, broadcast out on StreamYard, and it's going to our Facebook page and to our YouTube channel. So if you're over on our Zoom meeting, if you've logged in, like I see a few of you already have, because I've got my email up and it tells me some people have logged into our Zoom meeting, we'll see you Monday because no one's there, right? If you're having trouble, go over to our webpage, www.techforsenior.com. And if you go to our webpage, you'll see a big button there and it says, take you to live stream. You hit that and you'll come right over and you'll be in the right place. So try that. I apologize profusely to all those people last week who on our YouTube feed that had trouble with the chat. I fixed it. It was my fault. I take full credit. I take full responsibility. Don't tinker with settings. If it works, don't screw it up, right? So I learned my lesson and I apologize. It was my indeed fault. I had turned off the chat. Anyway, it should be on, so we should be able to listen. You should be able to say something, which brings me up to the next point. We don't know who we're talking to. We could just be sitting around. I mean, that's okay. We like to talk. We like to sit around and have a chat ourselves. We've been talking for the last half hour, right? In getting ready for the show. So we don't mind talking to ourselves, but we sort of think there's probably somebody out there listening, right, guys? I mean, there's probably hope there's somebody out there listening. So if you are listening, if you wouldn't mind putting your name and where you're from, first name and where you're from in the chat, and and if you have questions, I mean, we're all ears. We're not here just to talk. We're here to help you with any questions. If you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, we're certainly happy to do that. So let me introduce. Well, of course, I'm Ron Brown. I live on Vancouver Island. It's a little island off the west coast of Canada, And if you miss the island, you end up in Hawaii, and then basically you keep going, right? So the good news is we're finally getting some warm weather. Now, I know Bob and Ray and Huey are probably going to say, what? Well, no, we haven't had any hot weather. None, zero. It's been rainy, cold, sweater weather, and the all the plants are not, the farmers markets and all that sort of stuff. There's no produce because we just haven't had warm weather. So this weekend, coming up, the long weekend, it's going to heat up. It's going to go over 80, and we're going to have finally some warm weather, which I know you guys, because they live, see, we're not all from the same place. So let me start on the East Coast. Let me go, because although we're all in the show today, we're actually in different countries and all over the place, right? Which is sort of cool. And that's how technology works. So the first person we'll go to the East Coast. I want to introduce the fella from maybe the hottest place that we're out of all of us today. Huey's from Bradenton, Florida. Huey Poplick, my partner on the Monday show. Huey, are you in the hottest place? Do you think you're the hottest place so far?
Well, that's because I'm here. Yeah, and we're in the world's largest broadcast studio. I'm in Florida, and you're what, a couple thousand miles away.
That's right.
Be further.
And it's if you go a little bit farther east than I am, you're in the Atlantic Ocean, and all of a sudden you're either in Africa or Europe. So not a lot of room here. And if we sink much lower, we'll be underwater. But it's hot. It's 88 right now, and it's sunny and beautiful.
Right, as it always is in Florida, right?
Absolutely.
There you go. Rub it in. So, and then let's move to a place where I spent a lot of time. We owned a house in Arizona, in Mesa, for about 10 years, and lots of fond memories there. And I got to actually meet this next individual personally. He actually came down and talked to us at our Mesa Computer Club, and we became friends. Ray Baxter. Hello, Ray. And it is great to see you again this week. I hear you're going on holidays.
Yes, sir. Well, one time I did meet you in person. That was just before COVID. I think the following month, most of the computer clubs around the country stopped having meetings. So I got in there just under the wire with you. And you talk about Arizona, and Arizona is a pretty interesting and diverse state. So where I live, up in the mountains at an elevation of 5,500 feet, it's about anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees cooler than it is in Phoenix. But it gets up here. We've had already days in the mid 90s.
Already?
Already. So
really?
in Phoenix and on Mesa, you've never been in Mesa in the summer, I bet.
No, but never. Wouldn't go there.
Mesa in the summer, you can expect any triple digits, 110, 112. I lived in Phoenix area for my first summer out here, and was living with my daughter temporarily. And the hottest I survived was 118 degrees.
It's interesting because if you see cars driving around in the Phoenix area, you see the paint baked off them. You actually see all the paint actually flaked off the cars. And I thought, you see a 3-year-old car that sat outside. I don't know how you can make a car that you could fry an egg. Like, they've shown people taking eggs and putting it on the front part of their car, and it actually fries on the hood because it gets that hot. How can you make a car and make paint and make stuff that withstands that type of heat?
I don't know that you can. I mean,
that's crazy.
I made the mistake more recently. I had a white car. That's a good color to have when it's hot. Don't ask me why, but my current vehicle is black.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you're up.
Why.
You're up in the pine cone needles up in the mountains there with lots of trees around you.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Bob. You better unmute yourself. We have, of course, our security expert, a good friend of mine, a great guy all around. I sort of describe him as the ever ready Easter bunny because he keeps producing and producing and producing and producing. I mean, he's a great guy to have on our show on Monday because I've always got content that he can use, that I can use. Very knowledgeable in all computer stuff, not just technology and computers. It's of course Bob Costisha.
Thank you. You know, when you get to be my age, you better produce because time's limited. So I dream at night. What's the next video that's going to come out?
Yeah. I do the same thing. I do the same thing. I like it, but the problem is time. You know, like at the end of the day, there's only so many hours to.
And where I live now, if you've been on our Tech for Senior Facebook page, 2 days ago, I think I put a little video up there just to give you a taste of monsoon season because we have started with monsoon season. And every single day we getting downpours. Unfortunately, sometimes that includes hail, which is not pleasant.
Especially in a black car. Yes.
No, or in a house that has
a metal roof.
That's even worse. That's my garage. But we have skylights, and skylights and hail, they're not friends to each other. If the hail gets big enough, you have baseballs in your house instead of outside. Yep.
That's not good.
Nope.
Huey, do we have anybody listening?
Yeah, actually, with you turning on the ability, we've got some things posted.
And Mike Ungerman, another great solar energy morning in Florida. Welcome, Mike. Mike, of course, is a regular contributor to Tech for Senior. He did the very popular, Mike. We've had a lot of positive comments about your last solar program you did last week on our Monday show. And Mike will be doing part 2 this coming Monday. So make sure you listen in because it's going to be a great one. Don't miss it. Bob Baxter from Bellevue, Washington, 60 heading for a sunny. Yes. See, I told you the whole West Coast is going to warm up this. Steve from Kirkland. Yep. 56 degrees, but it's going to get warm. It's going to get hot. Stu from Dunedin, Florida. Sally from Kirkland, Washington. Ivana, good morning from Argyle, Texas. 94 degrees, but feels 100 at this time. Liz from sunny Ohio. Joan Grieg from Victoria, BC. Yes, good weather coming for us Islanders. Dick Vogel, good morning from Sanford, Florida. There we go. At least we have some people listening. That's great news. Yeah. So I just was reading this morning, excuse me, and I downloaded, I don't know, we talked about this earlier. You guys don't use widgets. And I have to tell you that we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, and I'm not even going to go into how you load widgets onto your phone. But if you're using Android or iOS, it doesn't matter. But if you aren't using widgets, you should explore them. Have a look at them. They're like little mini programs that you can find on your phone. On an Android phone, you just hold your finger onto the surface of the phone and do a long press. Just keep it held on there, and it'll bring up the widget menu, and you can go down and look at all the widgets that you can have. Now, these widgets can be particularly the ones that I use are ones with Google Drive all the time because it just takes you to the right spot and gets you in the right place real quick. And so I would encourage that. But what the article today, which you'll see, is Google Maps nearby traffic widget is rolling out. So I thought I better check that and see if I got it. And because Bob and I have Pixel phones, Huey probably with his S22 probably don't get it. You get updates once a year or something like that with your S22. Anyway, since we have Pixel phones, we got it right away. And and like I live in a rural area, right? Like there's three traffic lights in our community. That's it, right?
What's the traffic light?
Yeah, what's a traffic light? But it did show me some traffic. How the heck it figures that out, I don't know. But I mean, we had 3 cars on one street and 2 on a, I mean, it's not. But anyway, it was sort of cool that you can actually see the traffic pattern, and would certainly in Bradenton, Florida, would make a big difference. So,
but besides widgets, there are a whole lot of apps too that you can load on your phone. I got a lot of them.
that's true.
I discovered one a couple of weeks ago called Broadcastify, and I'm able to listen to the local police, fire, and ambulance service. And in Florida, the ambulances are on the road all the time. And
you have so many seniors in Florida.
Yeah, and they get sick and they have to go by ambulance. And it's interesting to listen to the police calls, and you kind of learn some of the codes. I used to, at one time, I bought a police,
Scanner.
in the days of Radio Shack, you could go in and buy a police scanner, and they were several $100s back then. And now it's just it's a free app on my phone, and I can do the same thing.
Do you have to program the frequency in then, Huey, for that specific?
No, you just say, look for the nearest broadcasting, and for years I did that, and there wasn't a local one, but now the Bradenton and Manatee County, which is the local county, police departments are broadcasting on, or they do have it in there. But for several years, I used to try it, and there wasn't anything local at all.
I just got a reminder from Google Photos this morning that 10 years ago today, we broke ground on our firehouse here in my community. That's another nice thing you get from Google Photos if you set it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
we might forget. Google doesn't.
Yeah. And I look at Facebook, and I belong to several groups from different towns I lived in for a long time, and several of the small towns that I lived in upstate New York. We had volunteer fire departments, and so there's a lot of postings going back when I lived there, showing some of the equipment and some of the people that I knew back then.
Yeah, I was a volunteer firefighter when I lived in New Jersey, in one of the little lake communities. That's all you had. You had volunteers. There were no paid firemen.
For a few years, I was part of the auxiliary police in the town I lived in on Long Island. Again, we'd help out, particularly with the high schools on a Friday night. So now we talk about phones a lot. My phone is an Android, but look at that. It looks like a Windows phone. I love my Windows phone. So I put on an app here that's called Tiles, and it makes them much bigger so I can really see them. I don't like the tiny little buttons that are on either the Android or Apple phone. So
that's a cool idea. What's the app called, Ray? Tiles?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like it? It works good.
I love it.
Okay, that's a good seniors thing, because that they might probably have trouble with vision, and good Tiles. All right, I got to remember that one.
I'll send you a link for it.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. So I wanted to talk. I had a fun experience yesterday. I want to tell you. One of my friends bought an Epson EcoTank printer from Costco and wanted me to come over and hook it up. Now, I know Bob has an EcoTank printer and he likes it. I don't, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway, so I went over and I hooked up the EcoTank printer, and it was pretty slick. And I was sort of impressed on how the bottles go in and how you fill it all up and it doesn't leak all over you and everything like that. It was pretty cool.
Clean fingers.
Yeah, it really did. I was impressed. But just to let everyone know, I'm doing a 2-year experiment, and I think some of you have already have heard about this, and if you've read, we have a newsletter. Oh, that's the other thing is, if you haven't signed up for a newsletter, www.techforsenior.com, just go there and you can sign up. But 3 months ago, I bought a Hewlett-Packard printer, and I bought it, and it included 6 months of free ink if you sign up to the Instant Ink program. And this is the put out by Hewlett-Packard, and it is an instant ink program, and and they offer the first 6 months free, and then you pay so much a month for a 2-year contract. You can get out of it any time, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to see if this was a good deal or not. So I'm going to compare this to the EcoTank, and look at the costs, and so I wanted to get Bob's experience on what he's had and what he thought of his EcoTank.
After 2 years, I finally had to replace the black because that, of course, gets used more than anything else. I have not yet, and I own the printer for 3 years, had to replace any of the color. And I have made actual pictures because my wife still says, "Can you print that?" So I have photo paper, and yes, I do print actual photos. But the only thing I've replaced so far in those 3 years is the black ink. And I usually post a joke every day and take it into the senior center. So I use that printer quite often. Mine
Okay.
doesn't sit there for months. Okay.
Right.
I'd
Oh,
also
okay.
remind everybody, don't turn off your printer because
Right.
your printer, the new ones, they do self-maintenance. They make sure that your ink and your cartridges or the head doesn't wind up freezing up or getting gunked up with ink. It cleans itself if you leave it alone. And they don't use that much electricity.
Yeah, every day I hear at 12:03, I hear the head move on
Yep.
mine, and it does the cleaning.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because it's a big issue with people when they buy printers. The printer cartridges can be very expensive. So they're looking for options. And if you look at HP, then of course they have the instant ink program. You look at HP, they have the InstaTank.
Mhm.
So Ray, what do you use as a printer?
Well, I have two printers that I use. One is the a LaserJet HP Hewlett Packard that I bought probably I'm sorry, I traded that one in. I have a Samsung, and it's interesting. Samsung doesn't make printers anymore, but HP is the service entity for it. So if something went wrong with it, I'd actually send it to HP, and I'm on their system, and that works flawlessly. Only recently did I have to change the cartridge for that has the ink. And then I have an older HP, about 7 years old. I bought it because I was able to, in those days, print on a white compact disc, music disc, pictures. So and they came out great. So I use that one when I need color, but that's 2% of the time, hardly ever. In fact, recently it got clogged up. I had to replace all the cartridges and go through the cleaning exercise about 6 times before it finally cleared up. And
It
now
did clear, did it? It did clear,
It
right?
did clear, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And Huey, what do you have?
I've got a brother printer that's around 10 years old. And I buy my ink from a guy in New York. He refills them, and they're dirt cheap. I think I pay $5 or $6, maybe not even that, for a complete set of the 4 colors, CYMK. And even if one of them doesn't, I had one time, one of the ones didn't work. I let him know, and he sent me a replacement for free. And I've been real happy with it. It's got the scanner in it. I use the scanner a lot. I use the printer all the time, and I've been very pleased with it. 2 of my neighbors bought the same model that I have because they said, "What do you use?" And I told them, and they bought the same model. Theirs have since died, but mine has lasted. So I got my money's worth out of it.
I think so, yeah. So when I hooked this one up yesterday, the printer I took out, of course, had a telephone cord connected to it. And I said, "You don't fax, do you?" And they said, "Fax? No, why?" And I said, "Well, you've got a phone line connected to your printer." I said, this new printer doesn't fax." And they said, "Oh, I think that's okay." You guys, anyone send a fax? I don't think it,
No,
you
but there
know.
are fax services that you can sign up to. You don't
Yeah,
need a phone line because it
yeah,
goes through Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I thought, who faxes anymore? Isn't that crazy? All right. Well, just before we get to organized and doing some news stuff, Huey, do we have any more comments we should go over?
Let's go look and see. Let's see. I think this is where we left off.
Dorothy, nice and sunny. Yep, it's going to be a good day. And that was it.
No, there's more.
Murray. Oh, hi, Murray's here. Murray says sunny and warm. Yep, Murray's from Victoria. Yep, that's going. Yep, it should be nice. Ivana says, "What's the name of the app that Huey mentioned?" Huey mentioned Broadcastify.
Boy, they pay attention to what we say, I guess.
They do. Someone's listening. This is good.
Writing
This
it
is
down.
good. Yeah, I like. Don't forget Tiles. Ray had that great one. Tiles. Yeah, that's just an app, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It changes the face of your Android phone.
Yeah. Dick says you can turn off. True. And I have a. Yeah, that's right. I actually should tell everyone that the printer that I'm doing the testing on is my wife's printer. I have actually a brother. You don't want this printer. It was a sort of, I got it on sale at Best Buy, and it was a used commercial printer. It was brother, and it when they brought it out from the delivery truck, it was a 2-person carry. It weighs about 85 pounds, and they and I needed my neighbor to come and help me put it in here. This thing is built like a tank, but I've had it for 6 years, and it's I think I told you guys I bought 10,000 paper refill thing for it. It's a laser color for $19.95 2 years ago. I think it's going to last me a lifetime. I don't think, as long as they keep making drivers for this as we move up in the in our operating systems, I think it's going to last me a lifetime, because it just never stops. So that's pretty good. All right, let's get on.
What's new?
Let's get on and do some work here. All right, let's share my screen. And
Just a reminder, that screen that you see now is pretty small. Go to our Facebook, Tech for Senior Facebook page, and you can make it full screen.
You can.
That's what I do.
Yep.
All right. Sorry, guys, that's about as big as I can get it. Hopefully you can see that. Bob, how did you snuck the first one in again? How do you do that, you sneak?
No, you must not have refreshed yours, because I got rid of that one because it's already there. That was the trial we did with a problem we were having with posting.
All right. Well, the next one down is Huey.
Huey should be the first one with something.
He is. Samsung Pay no longer works on non-Samsung phones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have a Samsung watch, but you don't have a Samsung phone, Samsung Pay will no longer work. I haven't gone and decided what I'm going to do, but I see on my phone, I've got Samsung Pay, Google Pay, and GPay. And GPay is another version of Google Pay. And because it's a Samsung phone, I'm not sure if I can use that. Can I?
Yeah, you can use but let me think now. Can you use Google Pay on I think you can use Google Pay, but you can't use Samsung Pay on a non-Samsung phone. Yeah. So that's the problem. Now there would be no reason why you wouldn't want to use Samsung Pay, and it would nicely pair with your watch. So as I told everyone when we talked about this on our Monday show, it's great. I mean, the phones work great, tapping and paying, that's not a problem, but the watches even work better. So, but it's really important. And as we move forward with more of these watches, and we'll talk about this probably later on in the show here, is that there's really three sort of categories. If you have an iPhone, what you want to use is the Apple Watch. I mean, it's just logical, and it works, and you've got Apple Pay and you've got the Apple Watch, and that all works perfectly. Then there's the non-Apple group, and that's the Android group. And then you really have to categorize this group of folks into two. There's the Samsung group, and why I say the Samsung group is this, because there's a lot of things that will only work on a Samsung phone and a Samsung watch. And one of those, of course, is the ECG and heart apps that Samsung has. They will not work. They will not work on a non-Samsung phone. So you got to be careful. And the same thing now with Samsung Pay, only works on a Samsung phone. So if you have a Samsung phone and you're thinking of a smartwatch, well, you're logically going to get the Galaxy Watch 4 or the new Galaxy Watch 5 that's coming out, right? So you want to be careful on how you pair these up. And Huey did it, of course, right, as Huey always does. He has the new S22 phone, and he has the Galaxy 4 watch, right, Huey?
That's right. And I haven't started any of the pays, but I for some reason or other, I think I'd rather go with Google Pay, and I think I can do it with my Samsung watch and phone. So.
You can't do it with the watch.
You might want to take a quick look at the comments. We have a nice new one just added.
All right, let's have a look at the comments and see what people are thinking of. Oh, Michael Daniels, watching from my Google trip in. Michael is in New York. Of course, Michael Daniels is a product expert. He's product expert for 4 or 5 different products. So Chris Gould and Michael Daniels and a bunch of people are off to New York this week to the big Google conference. They pay their way there. They look after them. And Michael's going to do a show from New York with Chris. So we're waiting for that, which will be, and that's watching from my Google trip to New York. So we don't actually know where he is. Maybe he's on an airplane. Maybe he's listening.
No, he is at Google, because I watched a live broadcast that he did on YouTube from the Google store in New York.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well done, Michael. Thanks, Michael.
Yes,
hey, that's great.
For $10 as well.
Imagine we're being watched by Google. That's cool. Any other comments?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Yes. So anyway, try your watch with the payment. It's real cool just to tap it and do it. It's really a lot of fun.
I'm trying not to spend money, and here you are encouraging me.
If you're going to use your credit card, and if you're going to use your credit card, just use it. Yeah. What on that? Yeah, I saw this article. What's this all about? I saw this article this morning, Huey. What's this all about?
The SpaceX says 5G interference could make Starlink unusable. What Dish wants to make use of a 12 megahertz band, and apparently that would interfere with the Starlink, which apparently uses that same band, band. And so they said that they would look into what the problem is, or if there is a problem.
They'd have to get approval first anyway.
They got to get approval, yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, that wouldn't be too good. Yes, Zoom reminds users to switch away from the Chrome app before the end of August, particularly on your Chromebook. Chromebook. Did I say Chromebook, Huey?
Oh, wow.
Did I say Chromebook? Are we doing something today? What's happening?
We're doing learning Chromebooks shortly after this show, about an hour after this show, but we started up a little bit earlier. But at 2:00 real time and 11 o'clock Pacific time, we do learning Chromebooks.
There you go. And if you haven't registered, you can go over to www.techforsenior.com and you can register. It is registered. It is a Zoom meeting and you need to register. It's free. We don't charge, but we'll be doing that this morning. And we do that once a month with Huey, and I do that. So that's why I put that in there, just to remind us to let everyone know.
Need to install the PWA.
Yes. Please make sure that you install the Progressive Web app for your Zoom meeting. You know, it's interesting. I'm going to show you that on the show. I'm going to show that later on this morning when we do the show. The two icons are very similar. You really want to remove the old app on your Chromebook, because the symbols of the two apps, I don't get them confused. They look very similar, and it's easy to get them mixed up. How to make Chrome. This was just a good article I put up today. How to make Google Chrome your default browser. Very simple to do. I mean, you will find all sorts of sneaky ways that Windows will make want to put Edge as your browser. And actually, Edge is there's nothing really wrong with Edge. Bob, you use Edge a lot, don't you?
Yeah, and I've quite a few things in Edge that aren't available in any of the other Chromium-based browsers.
Ray, do you use Edge, or
I use Edge primarily. I love the immersive reader. So when I see an article and it has a lot of ads, I can just built in. I don't have to have a separate app downloaded to my computer. Using that, I can print it out without any of the ads. But I do use the Chrome browser mostly for YouTube. So if I want to go to YouTube, then I will use the Chrome browser for that.
Interesting.
Get there a little bit quicker.
Yep. Yeah. What do you use Chrome mostly, Huey?
Yes. Although I do have on my taskbar Edge and Firefox. I've got Edge set up for a different login. So sometimes if something isn't working or I want to see it, then make it look a little bit different as a non-user of some of the websites that or Facebook pages that I go to. I like to use it. So I sign in as a pseudonym on my Edge browser.
I put this article up this morning. 2023 Leaf starts at $27,800. One of the things that I think that we need to talk more about, and I'm going to try and get Mike Ungerman. He doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to bend his arm and see if he'll do a little talk, because he's doing, of course, solar panels now. But 2022 is a bit of a bust for new cars. It's just not a lot out there, and all the problems we're having. But 2023 is going to be a big year for cars, and you're going to see a flood of electric cars coming out. And this with the tax, with all of the government incentives, this car is actually going to work out to about $21,000, fully electric car. And so it's now you can argue and say, well, it only goes so far, and all the other things about electric cars. But in certain situations, this is going to be a very economical car for people who want to, who maybe are commuting and can plug them in. They have electricity and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to I just thought this was interesting, because this is a very reasonable price for a car, right? It's
Ron,
not
one of the problems is with the mileage that it gets. This is excellent for places where you have public transportation and really don't need a car to start off with. Any place where you need a car because you don't have public transportation, 149 miles, I wind up getting stuck half of the places I want to go to. So that has to increase in order for electric cars to become a viable alternative.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Last evening, I went to pick up my groceries at Walmart. I do the ordering on using their app, and I just go and I pick them up, and they bring them out to the car and put it in the trunk for me. And I come home, and it's just nice, clean. I don't have to go in the store and spend a lot of time and extra money, and I really like it. But right next to me was the Walmart delivery van, and I noticed on the side of it, it said 100% electric.
Yep.
And it was plugged in charging.
Right.
CNET has a video now talking about how electric trucks are really really a game changer, because they don't travel the long distances that a car needs to. They have a direct route, usually in a particular area. They're less maintenance. I think electric trucks are going to be bigger sooner than electric cars.
Yeah,
I did over the road driving of a truck, and we went from one side of the country to the next, and you still have long distance truckers.
Right, but I'm talking about
an awful lot of local,
trucks. Right? The delivery trucks.
Yep.
So as we move forward,
the Amazon, most of them are gray. Now I see a lot of them are white vehicles, and now with the Walmart delivery vehicles, yeah, they're going electric, and in some areas, I think it isn't in Arizona where they're testing the ones that drive
the
themselves.
Wemo, yeah, the Wemo is in, yeah.
They had that for a while. Yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And Walmart has one of the largest recharging networks across country.
This is just to let everyone know, this is the new price leaks are already starting about the Galaxy Watch 5. One of the reasons why the Galaxy Watch 4 and of course the Fitbit Sense are so discounted now is that we're looking at new models coming out shortly. And I expect the Watch 5 will probably be released in October when, of course, the Pixel Watch will come out, which we'll see what happens with that. This is just the nearby. This is the article I talked about with the widget for nearby traffic. I mean, if you are traveling around, you do use Google Maps and you're interested in the traffic, use the traffic widget, and it's cool. It's just a widget that sits on your phone, and yes, it's that should work out well. This was an article that came out this morning. Just let you know that NVIDIA, of course, is a graphics card. I have an NVIDIA graphics card in my computer. They actually have software, and actually you can run a lot of software from the NVIDIA card, which is sort of interesting. It's sort of like a computer within a computer. And one of the things is they have new AI magic turns 2D photos into 3D graphics. I haven't done that yet, but this looks like a lot of fun, and I may have a little look at that. But
do you have an NVIDIA card?
I do.
And do you have to buy a special card for this to work, or will any NVIDIA do it?
You need a new one.
It will depend on the specific card that you have, and there'll be a list of cards that it will work on. So it's just not going to work on.
If you have a 10-year-old computer with an NVIDIA drive card in it, I guarantee you it will not work.
Right. Here's Bob. This is about vishing. What is vishing? Is that like fishing?
Oh, didn't you watch my video?
It's like fishing. No, this is a different one. It's like fishing, but it's for those of us that still use telephones. So this is mostly for older people who still depend on their phone. And this is scammers. It's just another way scammers get to you.
These are landline phones.
Not only landlines, you get phone calls on your cell phones. You get messages that are left that have recordings in them, and people listen to them, and they can be used to do nasty things if you're not getting it from a proper source, if you're not actually being careful and you think it's from one place and it actually turns out to be from something else. And there are things that look exactly like the real thing, except for a tiny little bit of difference. And
I thought that vishing comes from the combination of fishing and video
and voice.
Is it voice? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Now this was interesting. Now you guys are going to think I'm nuts, right? Well, you probably do that anyway, but the third-party app gives access to YouTube on an Apple Watch. Now you're going to say, what the heck? Why would you want to watch a YouTube video on your watch? Well, this is an interesting thing. I on my smartwatch, I have the Fitbit Sense, and it's amazing what you can actually watch on a watch. And this actually is pretty cool. The other thing I would encourage everyone to do, you may not have, which I've been doing a lot more lately, is I put the YouTube app on my phone, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos, when I'm in certain times, more so than I'm actually using the podcasting. So just remember, you can actually watch YouTube videos on your phone, which is quite easy to do. But this is actually not bad. You could be sitting, waiting for your wife in the grocery store or something, and you can just pull your watch up and finish off some videos. It's sort of cool. You can actually see them pretty good. So I thought this was cool. So if you're interested in that, you may want to look at that. This is new. Bob, did you see this? This is actually an app that makes Google Password Manager so much better. So as you probably know, Google actually has a password manager. It actually stores your passwords. So, it does all the things that other password managers do, except it's not an app, right? It's a little different in how they actually get the thing to work. But they've now released an app. So you can actually put the app on your phone, and this actually will bring up your passwords as you would LastPass or Bitwarden or whatever you're going to use. And this is encrypted on the phone as well, so it's all safe. And this is made by Google, and they just brought this out. And this is this makes it a little bit easier to use and to understand. So you actually now can have an app on your phone for your Google Password Manager.
I'll probably be putting out a video on this new feature.
Yes, I didn't. Have you downloaded it yet? I haven't downloaded it yet, Bob.
No, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, me too. I think this definitely is interesting, and it's free. I mean, the password manager, and it really works quite well because it's integrated with all your Google services. So, I just thought we should mention that. I'll be looking at that. Bob will be looking at it, so we'll talk about that more a little bit later. 200. So this is Samsung debuts its smallest 200 megapixel smartphone. 200 megapixel. Oh my gosh. Wow. How many megapixels is your S22, Huey?
I think it's around 100.
Really?
Yeah, but when you end up with the picture, it's still only about 12 megapixel. The actual photo, the quality of it is so much better.
I think. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Hey, do we have any comments so far, or we're just yakking along here?
Let's see what we got here.
Michael Dad, I am at the Dream Hotel right now.
Okay.
Mike says, I have the Brave browser on my Windows and Linux computers based on Chromium, much better privacy and security features. Now Mike says, once I installed my solar PV system, I then shopped a plug-in hybrid so I could run my car on my solar generator. That's right, Mike. You see, that's part 5, part 6, and part 7, right, of your talk. You're leading right into what I'm hoping you can do. Dick says, I too use the Brave browser. I have it set as my default browser, right? Mike says that and Brave search engine is now a viable competitor to Google or Bing's, again with much better privacy and security. Mike did a talk on Proton Mail, so and that's very secure as well. How does Brave search engine compare to DuckDuckGo?
Will it turn into DuckDuckGo? DuckDuckGo was the secure search engine to use until it decided, yeah, you'll have privacy, except for some companies I'm going to share that privacy with. That's what happened to DuckDuckGo. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that won't now also happen eventually to Brave.
But how, I guess, Bob, the question I would have is, how does Brave, there's got to be a business model or a financial model to Brave. How do they actually make this work?
You'd have to ask them.
I mean, they have staff.
That was the question we had for DuckDuckGo also.
Right.
If you have everything so quiet, you share nothing with anyone, no one finds out what you have, how are you making any money?
Right.
And then we found out, well, yeah, they don't share with anybody except Microsoft.
Right.
Okay, so, that's why I'm saying, okay, this is fine. Now we have somebody else that we can use, Brave.
Right.
For how long?
Right.
That's the question.
That's the question. Because I mean, they would have development costs, they'd have buildings, they'd have servers, they
Yep.
would have staff, they'd
Yep.
have,
Yep.
they have a big
Yep.
operation to run, right? It's
Mhm.
worldwide, so it's going in all different languages. You'd have offices in different countries. So there's a big payroll that you got to keep going with here. So I mean, how would they make money? So that's
Same way we do.
You have to have a different, yes, you can give some things away for free, but there has to be something that you make money on.
right. We talked about this a little earlier. I was showing Huey and Bob. I use the Google News desktop for getting my news, and I guess my and of course Google just yesterday refreshed and did a new desktop, which looks great. It's much improved. I guess the only question is, out of the last 20 years when I've been using this, is that they don't change it very often, and it's a very popular service. And I wish they'd just get their act together and sort of work on a little more, because I mean the one that they changed this from wasn't that great, and we had to suffer with that for 2 or 3 years. And now this is good. I like the new format with this. It's great, but I wish they'd just put a little more effort in and keep it a little more regularly updated. Anyway, so if you haven't done so, the
Ron,
Google,
you're talking about the interface, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they do update the news
Oh, the news gets
instantaneously.
updated. Yeah,
Right.
but the interface was I wasn't that happy with.
Yeah, you made me take a look at it, Ron, just by talking about it the last few weeks, and I decided to take a look at Google News, and I now have it as one of the little buttons on my default. When I open up a new browser window, it's they have the things that you use the most, and I've added it to it because I've gotten to the point I don't watch news on TV anymore at all. It doesn't matter whether it's if whether you're on the right or the left. To me, they're all extreme.
Well,
And I
don't expect Google News to be a neutral news
no,
service.
I understand that, but just seeing some headlines, I got an idea. Yeah, there is a real world out there after all.
Right. Well, it is like a lot of the articles I picked up this morning were just up this morning, and they're out there, and it is actually pretty cool. I mean, I like the way their new design of it is. So it's free. So
Because you have all the different categories. You
Yeah,
don't
and
have to look at just news, which
Right.
has been so politicized. You
right,
do have all different categories
that's
of
right.
yeah,
news.
And the
Yeah.
one that I have is technology, of course.
Right.
and you can just look at the headlines, and then if you see an article you want to look at, you can. I
Right.
think it's
Yep.
very easy. It's very easy to look at and follow and
Right.
look at just a few articles.
Just don't be guided by headlines. As I've pointed out many times, most headlines are there to grab your attention.
Right.
And when you dig deeper, you find out, oh, wait a minute, this is not what the headline showed.
Right.
So be careful.
And I
Yeah,
always, and just let you guys know, I do most of the time. Honestly, I do look at the articles. I do look at them before we post them, because Bob's right. It'll say, they say the stupidest things in the headlines, and then you think, oh, that's, like Microsoft is coming to the end of its days or something. There'll be a catchy thing. Oh, what's that about? Click, and of course, it's mostly advertising, right? So I do try to look at them.
but I've gotten suckered into some of the things on Facebook where they say this, they put a headline in about an article, and then you open that article, and every paragraph is a new page with a bunch of new ads. And I just get so fed up with that stuff. So
Right.
this is kind of nice. So you can just quickly look at the headlines, decide whether you want to look at something, and go read the article.
Right. Ray, what's this
Hooray!
all about? Portable power stations in 2022.
Well, in addition to electric cars replacing gas engines, portable power stations are quickly replacing the power generators, the gasoline generators that we were used to for so many years. When your electricity fails at home, or maybe you want to be off the grid for a while on a camping trip. And I purchased one of these about 7 years ago when I got married, because we got married in a remote section of Grand Canyon Park. We had about 60 people there, and of course I wanted music. And the power station was great. It charged up. It lasted for several hours, and they have all kinds of plugs, not only to plug in the normal 3-prong electric plug, but for USB charging, a whole range of things. So this is an interesting and very good article talking about these stations. They range in price from about $300 to up to as much as $1,600.
Did you guys see that video out? It's hilarious. Guy's driving along the highway in an electric car and runs out of electricity, right? Boom, he's dead in the water. He then hitchhikes. He puts his thumb out, and a guy drops by and takes him to the local gas station. He fills up a 5-gallon jerry can of gas, right? The guy drives him back to his electric car. In the trunk, he pulls out an electric generator. He fills the generator up with gas and then starts the generator up and charges his electric car. It's hilarious. Have you guys seen that one? We should play it.
I think I have, yeah.
That is hilarious. I thought it's so funny. So I guess you could put one of these in your trunk too. Is it in your electric car, and then if you run out of gas, you just turn it on and it would charge it up, eh?
Yeah, and actually, the one I have has a cables that normally when you have a dead battery, so it gives a burst of a charge enough to start a dead battery on a car.
Ah,
so they're really handy.
But that doesn't work for an electric car.
No.
Or I wonder if you could have one of these going in your trunk.
Yeah,
powering your electric car. So if you needed another 30 kilometers or something, or 30 miles, you just get a. Oh, we're getting silly here, right? All right, let's go on here. Ray, European Union's USB-C mandate. What it will mean for Apple.
The European Union has come out in their infinite wisdom and has said that you must, for any portable device, certainly phones, they must use a USB-C connection. Which means that's going to affect Apple with their
they've already started changing things over.
Lightning connector. So the article goes on to explain why they think this is a good idea and having too many plugs, etc. My personal attitude is this should not be left to the government to make a mandate to tell a company how they have to manufacture a product. Let the market decide.
And also, Android Auto is not going away?
No, they talked about that. There's 2 types of Android Auto, and this is the older version that used to be called Android Auto for phone screens. That's disappearing. But the regular Android Auto that some of us have become used to, that's here to stay for a while, until ultimately it'll be replaced probably by Android Automotive. So when you're buying a new car, your car's infotainment operating system will be running it, and you won't need to have your cell phone in the car to make it work.
Ah, that's cool. That's cool. Bob, do you use Android Auto, or do you use it in your car?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
You like it?
Yes, because it gets away with all of the stuff that usually distracts you. It is strictly related to what you do in a car.
And I was going to say the biggest advantage, I think, for Android Auto, some cars have an infotainment system, but when they were purchased, they did not have the factory installed navigation system. So by using Android Auto, you can now see the navigation on the large infotainment screen and not on the small cell phone screen. That to me is the biggest advantage. I've used it a few times, but I have the Sync 3 Ford product in my car, and that does everything I needed. I don't need Android Auto.
Huey, do we have any comments before we? An hour's gone by.
Yeah.
Let's just go up and have a look and see.
No, nothing new.
Nobody posted anything new at all.
No. Nope.
Nothing new. Okay.
You didn't shut it off again, did you?
What's that?
You didn't shut it off again, did you?
No. One little mistake I make. One little mistake.
It's going to follow you, Ron, for the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for coming today. We of course have our show coming up in, I guess, about 1 hour, eh, Huey?
Yeah, I'll open the doors at 1:30 or on the half hour.
But on the half hour, okay, and we'll get that organized.
Yeah, bring your Chromebook questions.
bring your Chromebook questions, and we will be talking to everybody then. I want to thank everyone. Remember, this is going out as a podcast tomorrow. If you missed it, you can listen to us tomorrow, or you can even watch it because it's on YouTube. It's saved as our video on YouTube. So, and don't forget about our Monday show. Mike Ungerman will be talking about solar panels on your roof, part 2. Very interesting. So, particularly in the hot weather down in your area, Huey, that would be great.
Yeah, we have plenty of sun down here, that's for sure.
There you go. So we'll work on that. Yes. So then we will see you, everyone, in about a week's time here. We'll be back in a week, or see you Monday for our Monday show, or see you in an hour for learning Chromebooks. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Everybody.